Okay, so here we are. We're getting started with our welcome and introductions, and we'll have some space at the front for some policy adoption updates from Sahar. Our upskilling group will give us an update, and then any other updates we have are in the rest of the project update section. And then we always have sort of our ongoing action items, and if there's time at the end, after our discussion today, we can spend some time in breakouts if people want to move forward projects within this meeting space today. So we can move ahead, Albert. And is Sahar on the call?
Yeah, hi, I'm on the call.
I'll just give you a
Uh,
chance if you want to update around anything to do with the policy adoption.
yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining this call. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the slide that we've talked about last time as well. It is we have all the documents in the link. This deck will be shared with you later, and you can access any of these documents. AI policy manual, fact sheet, incident report, all of that. And some of you have already been reaching out to me for one-on-ones or any either questions or set up a session. Please feel free to continue to do that, and I'd be more than happy to help in any which way I can. If I know the answer, or even if I don't, I will reach out to the committee or the coalition and get back to you. So, yeah, please feel free to do that. You can reach me via the email listed there. Any questions? No? Back to you, Rich, then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sahar, and thanks for providing that one-on-one service. It's really helpful to people to really get into the benefits of being in the coalition for sure. So
Is
make
there
sure.
a link available to that list of documents?
Yeah, we can drop that in the chat, I believe. So.
Thank you.
I might have trouble grabbing it right now, but if Rich, if you're in the dock right now.
Oh, let me close out of that. I'm out, so we can catch up to that. Well, we'll put it in the chat when we get an opportunity. And upskilling, Lon and Rick have been spearheading this effort. So, Rick, are you on the call today?
Yes, I am.
You want to take this over and update us on this?
For sure. So the upskilling working group is looking at a variety of initiatives to help people both in very basic training in AI literacy, all the way through really deep learning of AI. And so we have essentially these three higher level bullets are broken down into those. So on the call is Chris Wiseman, who has taken a very deep stab at a playbook that we have a few people reviewing within our working group. But I almost did this last meeting just to have a breakout conversation just with Chris and maybe Albert, and I think Chuck Bryan is on the call as well, and he's one of the potential reviewers, and maybe just have Chris, explain what he has and see if we could get a little bit more feedback, because the next step, now that this is out there and as developed as it is, would be to elevate it to the process within GovAI Coalition to make it a recommended document. So anyway, so if we're open to having a breakout at the end of this for that would be great. Last time I was having lunch at that point. I didn't have the energy to bring it back, but I might have lunch in between at this point, and then we could just do it in the last 15-20 minutes. The other thing is, or the second thing is continuous learning. And so Dr. Rapini is one of the members of our group, and she's in Tyler, Texas, and she is and a person, Tennyson Williams, have been working on a document where they've laid out a bunch of certifications in beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And those are, purchasable or licensable programs that are deemed relevant as certification learning pathways. And then she's also created a 10-module curriculum that is informed by what her group has identified. And we'd love to, that's almost at the stage where we're ready for reviewers. They're kind of honing it between now and our next meeting on Monday. But we'd love to have people who are interested in that particular initiative. And then third is collaborative upskilling with rigor. So in our last meeting, and also in our first meeting, Raimundo Rudolfo from City of Coral Gables, he has probably I'm going to be bold and say it's probably the most sophisticated IT AI informed program in the country. And he took us through the learning that they have within their team. And it's a lot of engineers, it's not your typical city government. I don't, one of the things I've been asking about in the last couple of these meetings is who are on IT teams that are really thinking about it, because those are the people that are going to be learning this AI stuff in much deeper depth. And he's just today followed up with exactly the kinds of learnings that they were using back 5 years ago and what they're using now. And so anybody that's interested in getting their IT team, really skilled up, we'd love to talk to them. The Ask Me Anything tool is something that one of the members of our group put together. Andrew, he's in a lot of places in the GovAI Coalition. And he just did a very quick prototype of basically training a program, an AI engine, Perplexity, with all the GovAI material. And we're thinking about making that into an actual service. Lon has mentioned having interns. Tennyson has interns. So this might be an intern project to actually take this from the level of an initial prototype to something that would be a useful, shareable tool. So those are the initiatives we're doing in the upskilling working group. It's nice to see the momentum. It's nice to see new people each time. I would like to just know if it's okay to have this thing specifically on the playbook at the end of the meeting, because I'd like to join that. And I know Chris would be really grateful for feedback, and it would be awesome if Albert could be there, because we really took on this mission because of his support for the concept of a playbook. And then just in general, we have a Slack channel, or we use the adoption support Slack channel, and we're not too noisy there, but it's a really good place for people to share.
Thanks so much, Rick. And no problem, we can set up a breakout room for you to discuss at the end of the meeting today for sure. And thanks for all the momentum on this. I know this group has been very focused and driving several of these initiatives. So always appreciate your enthusiasm and moving forward through all these areas. So it's really great to see.
Thank you.
This is Rick, and this is super exciting. We can talk about this more in the breakout, but how we might want to, when we feel comfortable sharing this with the broader coalition as like a bona fide resource that folks can just use, right? And how we think about distributing that. So we can talk more in the breakout, but really exciting stuff.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to, we're not, Lon and I aren't in government. She's been more in government, but we really want government eyes on it to make sure it crosses the threshold of working for numerous governments and isn't too tied to what one particular, and I'm very confident that Chris had that lens in what he built, but I want to have government people be the reviewers as opposed to us, so.
Yeah, and Rick, just as an option, you can always bring that playbook here to this larger group, and we can have some dedicated time to actually present it and go over it once it's in a position that you're ready to share it with the group and get feedback within this larger group here. So
thanks for the invite. With Chris being the author so far, we can talk about that in the breakout room and decide if that's, when might be appropriate for that. That's great. Thank you.
Great. I see Chris has his hand raised.
Yeah, and thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate it. The original idea would have been to have a small group within kind of the subcommittee structure, look at it, review it, vet it, make any adjustments or edits we needed before bringing it to the larger group. But, you know, I'm not tied to that structure. However works best for the group is fine with me. So I'm pretty much open.
Yeah, and we can talk about that, but usually we get it to a point where we're pretty comfortable with it and then bring it to this group for final feedback. And, you know, I don't want to rush that either, so don't feel that there's a rush for that, but we can talk that out in the breakout group for sure. So, okay, thank you, Rick. I think Dan is on the call and was going to give a brief update here on where things are with this group. Dan, are you on the call?
Yep, I'm here. We don't have
great.
too much from last time, but I just want to add that we're going to do a meeting on July 11th for the police training group. So anybody that's interested can get a hold of me. I'll put it in the chat after. And we added Sean Ernst from Spokane. So
Oh, and I'm so sorry. It looks like I left the time off of this. I have the date, but not the time.
yeah, it's 9 a.m. Pacific.
9 a.m. Thanks, Dan.
No problem.
Yeah, I was excited to see Shauna's interest too. And that's Shauna. Gosh, I was really bad on my typing. Sorry about that. And I'll correct that in future versions of the deck and in the notes for the follow-up meeting. So
Yeah, we're primarily going to try to work towards the AI 101 for policing. That's our first goal. So anybody interested?
great.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you. I guess we can move to the next update. I've been sort of moving this piece along a little bit. Matt Scherer and I from Center for Democracy and Technology had a long meeting about HR and AI, and I have taken our notes and drafted a first swing at a multi-session course and curriculum for AI and HR. Albert, do you want to share that really quickly? I can just share the overview, the list of courses that I was sort of proposing. I mean, it is in draft form, but I can at least give a preview or something.
Yeah, please. Do you need me to just click this link?
Yeah.
Let me see if that pulls it up. Give me a second. Let me change my share.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah. So this is just the 10 course outline I've pulled together from our thoughts, and this is such a broad area with AI and HR, and there's so much impact to AI. I'm sorry, to HR functions, because it handles a lot of sensitive employee information, private employee information. There's a lot of decisions that are made that impact people in terms of their ability to progress, get hired, get promoted, you know, how their jobs might shift in this new environment, how we might train and deal with performance issues with AI. So it's just a lot. And so I've started this with sort of a foundations of AI in the public workforce, sort of explaining AI at a broad level and how that impacts the work that happens in HR. And then sort of moving into this evaluating AI use in HR through this ethics first framework, then really diving into where people are asking for AI to be used in recruitment in lesson 3, and then diving down a little bit deeper into selection, testing, and interviews with lesson 4. And those are some key areas that AI, you know, you get a lot of requests for this in HR, either from your employees who want to advance these tools or other departments that want to advance these tools or candidates. And it's just making sure that use those in a way that are responsible, you know, reduce bias, reduce risk in all of those activities. And then lesson 5 is sort of labor relations and union engagement on how AI is impacting roles, advising employees like on responsible AI use, supporting executives in AI governance and how they're making decisions and the requests they might have to use AI tools for a lot of these operations within HR. Then getting into sort of workforce planning, job redesign. There's some upskilling, reskilling stuff that I was sort of thinking about for this class. And then an AI section on performance training and monitoring employees and how that all comes into play and the ways those types of things should be approached. And then last, sort of a policy governance and change communication piece. So this is very broad. It's a lot of content, and I'm sending this to Matt to sort of get his thoughts on this, but ideally I'm gonna need some other people in the mix, some other HR professionals. Potentially, it would be great to partner with HR organizations, some of the national organizations. So I'll be, as this piece moves forward, if you are interested in diving into some of this HR content, I would love to hear of interest around this, to sort of fine tune this content and get some other eyes on this aside from Matt and I. And then if anybody has any inroads to people in HR organizations, either regional or national, it would be great to have some cross connections there, as we start to sort of envision this content and take this from the very, very drafty stage that I'm at now to something that feels really centered and focused on what people need from us. But the AI is such a huge impact to HR that I thought, it needs a fairly robust set of guidance around that. So this is just my first swing, and there will be more to come on this soon. But if anybody has any comments or has any interest in joining, please raise your hand and let me know. So.
Yeah, and if anyone, I think even just one person who can serve as like a editor for what they've put together, if you want to just put your name in the chat, or Lily, can you just drop your email in the chat, and then Rich can follow up with you.
Sure.
Thanks, Lily.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, Lily. And there'll be more to come on this soon, but I just thought it'd be nice to give a little preview of some forward momentum on this one. So, okay. So, Sahir, do you want to talk to this, or do you want me to? Because I'm the holdup on this. I'm going to go ahead. Sahar and I have taken a swing at, and we record our first session for the quarterly introductory webinar. So we have a recording. I had a little snag with the Zoom recording that it was showing me in the back end of Zoom that the recording was there, but it wasn't letting me download it. So I had to get involved with Zoom support, and they were finally able to release, figure out whatever was happening there to make that recording not download for me. So it was in the cloud, and for some reason I couldn't access it. So it took me a little bit of time. So I'm still working on the video edits from that, and just taking out some times where we had some stops and pauses, and I have to re-record an intro part of that. So I'm stitching all that back together. Once that's all done, we'll circulate that around for review and feedback, and hopefully get that ready to be released. So I'm hoping to get turned to that at the end of this week. So that's sort of where we're at, and hopefully next week we'll have something finalized for this. So, but the holdup's on my end. So. Okay, and this is just with our regular ongoing action items. Just a reminder, you can dive in and find a lot of the resources that we talk about in this committee in the AI education folder. You can find a lot of training materials there. If you're looking for training materials to start with and to reposition for your agencies, you can get started there with a variety of information. AI over one. Hello? Hello? I think that was a mistake. So, but if you have any training materials that you want to share with us that you've used, that would be great. We've been collecting training materials of what other people are delivering at their agencies also, sort of that cross-pollination of ideas around how to present these ideas and approaches to your staff at your agencies. That would be great. So please send those or drop them in the AI education folder. Also, we do have an ongoing list of trainings that are public sector focused on how to implement and use AI in your organization. That's on this AI education landscape. And it's a very nice database of courses and titles and costs and audience and specific notes about each training. There's also a comments tab to be able to track whether you've taken it and what the feedback was on the class. So make sure to give that a look, and you can dive into that landscape. It's a really great resource that was pulled together.
Can you drop the link to the AI education folder in the chat?
Yes, we'll do that. Thank you, Marcia. And then we cover this all the time, but how can you get involved? You know, any committee members on the call can get involved in any of these subgroup projects. That's how we keep things moving. As you've seen, you know, people have jumped in and they come into these meetings and have, you know, they have sub meetings and come back to these meetings and give us updates and reports on where things are at. But your involvement can be very, you know, you can jump in to lead a session or lead a project, or you can just jump in to help, like drafting outlines and content, you know, building some basic PowerPoints, just contributing to brainstorming. That's really useful, as you've heard us earlier talking about getting other sets of eyes on content. It's really important for us to make sure this is relevant and helpful to people that we're designing these trainings for. And then just connecting with external organizations. If you have any external organizations you think would be a great party to help us continually validate our material and give us feedback on that, or to even join in the discussion and the build out, that would be great. So, you know, send us ideas along those. And if you have an idea for AI education for a specific group of public sector employees, or any specific focus that you think you haven't seen it in these sessions, please reach out to me and Sahar if you want to join a group or have an idea of your own. So, and always, as always, we ask people if you're doing anything that you think would be relevant for this group in terms of AI practices and tools. You know, we always encourage you dropping those as well. So, and that is most of our updates for this meeting. You know, as I said, we have a shorter round of updates for this meeting. It sounds like we had some interest in the upskilling group talking about the playbook. Are there any other groups that want to use the remaining time that we have today to connect and talk about things? We can have more than one group, so just let us know in this section if you want to do a deep dive.
Hey, Rich, Jim Brown here.
Yeah.
I was chatting with a new member who's fire related on the chat today. And I was just wondering if there's anybody else out there that is new that wants to spend a few minutes chatting about where we're at. I'm open to check out.
Great. Yeah. Let us know.
I just opened some breakout rooms.